Welcome back to the show with today's guest, John Blackley from John Blackley Architect or Architects? Architect. Okay, John, so just before we cut to the break, we were talking about the tendering stage. And now, you generally speaking, we didn't talk about how many builders you should go to tender with. The general rule of thumb from my knowledge is 3. I usually prefer less to make it less competition. So, John, what's the general?
Sure. Well, 3 to 4 is normal. A number. If you have too many, then you'll find that word will get out, and subcontractors talk to other subcontractors, and when builders hear the bigger number of tenderers, they tend to pull out, which does happen. So 3 to 4. And
I know why, from my point of view, why you have 3 to 4, because we usually tend to 3 to 4 subcontractors. But for the viewer's point of view, 3 to 4, it's all about statistics, really, isn't it? With like you have a high price,
sure.
A low price.
Yes. The bigger the number of tenderers, you'll soon see where the pattern is. If it is all about statistics. You did right. So the middle of the pack is probably the right price, and the high price people might be getting a bit greedy, and the low price they may have forgotten something. One of the important things is, though, if you have a bunch of tenders and you have someone that's really low or really high, they could have made an error, and the architect will ring the builder and say, well, look, got the prices in, your quote is considerably lower than the others, could you please check your price, make sure you're happy, because we either sign up the next builder or you do it for that price, and nobody wants a builder to go broke. So
that's good. I'm glad you think like that, John. Also, I've been involved on a couple of projects where there've been a negotiated tender as opposed to an open tender where you get 3 and 4. Can you tell the viewers at home, obviously, what the pros and cons of that are, and of just going to one person at the start and then doing a negotiate, then build, as opposed to open tender, so to speak?
Personally, I don't usually get involved in just well, first of all, to clarify, an open tender is where you put an ad in the paper and you have 27 builders price it, whereas a select tender, which is an architect's thing, there might be 3 or 4 architects, 3 or 4 builders rather. The negotiated thing, it depends on what's important in your priorities. If you know that builders work and you want that level of quality and you don't want to muck around, well, then you'd go to that builder, and they would, you'd have an expectation of the quality, and the price would be secondary to the quality. But of course, everyone wants both. They want the best work and the cheapest price, but that doesn't usually happen.
Well, just for the benefit of the viewers at home, how I've been involved in negotiated is, at the very start, is do a budget based on the concept plans, and then that's an agreed budget. Then we slowly build our way up with documented or detailed drawings. Then we revise the budgets to suit, and then that's how we formulate, like a final contract sum price. But I'm glad you pointed out there, if you want a good builder with quality, negotiated tender, I've actually done a couple, so that's saying something about me. So
Sure.
Now, John, we'll get into the tendering time. I'm going to be putting on my builder's hat again. We want a lot of time to tender. What's generally the norm for the benefit of the viewers?
For me, I allow about 3.5 weeks. It depends on what day the tender opens. If it opened on a Monday and closed on a Friday, it depends. 3.5 to 4 weeks, because you don't want builders to rush. If builders rush, I reckon they might guess. If they guess, they're going to guess on the high side. So theoretically, you want to give them enough time, but not if you didn't have a closing date, then you might never get a price, particularly if things are really busy. So you need, and for me, it's important that all the tenderers submit their price on the same day and time. You don't want to give someone, but as it gets closer towards the end of the tender period, I ring all the builders and say, how are you going? You're on track, blah, blah, blah. And if the majority say, look, we'd want more time, so they might want 5 weeks instead of 4, or then I will extend a tender period. So.
And also, so accepting late tenders is not really, I know from my experience there's a code of tendering you shouldn't allow for, you shouldn't accept late tenders, but also tenderers or builders should see the site first, and the ones that don't, you sort of like got an idea, or they're not really interested in the job. Is that correct?
Sure,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I always put in my tender documentation, you must visit the site. So that's a condition of tendering.
Now, also, we just want to get through a bit of material here there, John. Now, we get the tender prices in, the old-fashioned way is by post, but these days we accept email tenders, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I don't have a problem. All mine are email.
Yep.
Sorry, some builders don't have email.
Yeah, they might fax it or they might post it. Just when you do get tenders, just because we want to benefit for the viewers at home, the questions that you ask when you get all the prices in, you're comparing tenders, and what the builders should give you while you're trying to compare and find out who's the best person to go to. Can you give us your thoughts?
Well, when you go a select tender with an architect, the architect's saying, well, all of these builders have got a good quality builders. So theoretically, when the prices come in, it's all about the price, pretty much. But I also ask for construction period, because you might have one tender that's $100,000 and might take 20 weeks to do the job, and someone might be $105,000 and do the job in 10 weeks, and then you think, well, I'd rather pay the extra for that kind of thing.
For the viewers, it might be the cost of the rent.
Getting back to the late tenders, though, you don't want the price being public knowledge, and some builder think, oh well, I'll make mine $1 less than that one. So it's important that it's all a level playing field.
We'll kind of run along. So with when the tenders prices do come in, now, do you normally get a one-line quote?
Well, I make up on mine a tender form, which is the builder's name, what their contact details are, their insurances, and a construction period, as well as an amount. And I also ask, a lot of architects do this, is what are the labour rates for assessing variations, and what is the builder's margin rate?
And do you get a breakup of trades as well?
Well, I don't normally, unless it's between two builders. I don't ask every tenderer, because I've found builders are rather coy about giving a trade breakdown. Maybe they're not coy, maybe they're, I couldn't be bothered kind of thing. So.
All right, we'll quickly cut to the break, and when we come back, we'll talk a bit about provisional sums and a little bit about contracts. So after the break, we'll be back.